Hi, nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining the talk. My name is Phillip Schuster. I'm the CEO of Players and one of the founders. And I'm happy to give you some insights into how we think game development should be today and in the future, and how we think that games can be made better. And we also provide some insights into the tools that we are developing and that we offer as a service for you game developers. And I also have brought a very simple example to this talk, so that we don't just talk, but that you can also see something happening on stage. So I will share my screen. I prepared a quick presentation just that we don't lose the flow. So you should see my presentation. Let me go into full screen mode. Okay. So first slide. Social, interactive, and engaging game experience. What is that, and how can you achieve that? This is something that bugs us all the time, and that we deeply think that there are a couple of tools that you can leverage to make your games more social, interactive, and engaging. And one of the key components is, as we think, is in-game voice. We have been at Players. We have been hosting TeamSpeak servers and voice communication for more than 20 years now, and we have a deep understanding of what is voice in gaming and how do they relate together. And we think that in-game voice directly integrated into the game is key for more social and interactive experiences. And this is especially the case if you think about virtual reality, augmented reality, the so-called metaverse. Some people like Facebook and also Tim Sweeney from Epic Games is talking about that for a couple of years now. And all these very engaging experiences, they strive for in-game voice. So this is key factor number one, having in-game voice. The next thing, of course, is competition, and competition is a wide field. But in the end, it's not just esports. Competition is a simple leaderboard. Competition is if you compare your own results with those of friends and others in the world. And there are many different ways of bringing up this competition. It depends on the game. But I think this is also one of the key components that you should always think about when developing a game, that you bring in some sort of competition. And the last but not least is, of course, multiplayer. Multiplayer gaming is, of course, the most social experience you can have, and it's typically very engaging because groups and friends, they always draw you back into the game. None of those are mutually exclusive. These can be combined, or they can be. You can just concentrate on one of these topics. And I want to give you a couple of very simple examples so that you can understand what we think about this. The first thing is power of gamification. If you think about gamification as a whole, this is a huge topic, but I just want to bring you one very simple example, what you can do by offering some gamification elements into your game. And in this case, it's basically challenges. So everybody knows the game Tetris, and it's basically very simple. You have those blocks that come down and that have different colors, but the colors just to differentiate all these simple forms. And you just have one goal of having more lines, or the more lines you finally get, the better. And we thought about, what about if we just say, make 5 lines with the same color? This is a very simple challenge that you can add to your Tetris game within a couple of minutes. And this completely changes the game. When you think about this simple challenge, it really makes everything different how you play the game, because you cannot do that as usual by forming lines, but you need to form pillars, and then on those pillars you need to place those items with the same color. And this is really tough. We and our team, we spent basically quite a couple of hours, and everybody tried to figure out a good strategy to achieve that. And that was just one very simple thing that is built on top of what you have already built. So you have your game logic, you have everything in place, and you just add this simple challenge, and it makes a complete difference. And if you have the chance of bringing in new challenges that also sometimes change the gameplay or add something to the gameplay logic, it's good, because this keeps your players engaged with your game and coming back and trying it again. Another thing is in-game voice. I give you a very brief example of this map and how we think in-game voice should work. If you think about tools like TeamSpeak and Discord, and in some consoles, you also have those in-game voice the voice communication. It's basically always like you would have a telephone or a mobile phone on your head, because it's basically voice, God's voice. It's voice over what is happening inside the game. But if you have a very engaging and immersive game environment, like shown in this map, there are a lot of distractions, and there are a lot of things in the game that change the voice of people. They sometimes they are crystal clear, then they are behind walls, then the voice should be damped. And this is basically our vision of how we think voice in games should work. It's not a layer above the game experience, but it's basically deeply integrated into the game, and that makes it more realistic and more immersive. And how we achieve that, we come later to this. The next thing is multiplayer gaming. I have a very quick chart that I've shown in another talk I did, where I compared peer-to-peer networking to dedicated server hosting. Peer-to-peer networking is basically a very simple way of doing it, of doing multiplayer, but it's only simple on the first glance. It has fast development iteration times, which obviously makes it simple in the first couple of hours of developing, and operations are cheap, because the games or the servers are hosted on the players' PCs or devices. But if you closely think about that, there are a lot of cons added to peer-to-peer networking. Especially anti-cheat measurements are very hard, and not having good anti-cheat in multiplayer games costs engagement, because people just stop playing if they notice that everyone is cheating. Then you have a lot of networking issues. You have often weak game experiences because of low bandwidth of the host, and many other things that make up not the best game experience. And you also need to have a lot of services that also often kill engagement, and also often competition, because people need to find themselves. They often need to wait, or they need to invite people. All of those things are often not the best way of doing multiplayer gaming. The dedicated servers way of doing it is that you have a server that is hosted in the cloud, and that is always available with a specific IP address and port, and you can list them in the server browser, and they are always on. So when someone wants to play, he always, or typically the chances are high that he finds someone else to play with, and he does not need to find any lobbies or create a lobby and hoping that someone comes in. There's a server, there's a virtual world where they just can connect themselves and start playing. You have best performance because servers are running in dedicated resources. You typically have a lot of simultaneous players that can play. In peer-to-peer, this is very limited also. And it's also a very important community features, because what we noticed in our own game server business is that more than 90% of all servers are hosted as public servers. So even if users are purchasing and renting and paying those servers, they don't set them in a private mode, but they want them to be public in most cases. So the community hosting servers for you, basically, and also offering a lot of valuable community, because some servers are like for pros, others are for newbies, and so there's a lot of there's an ecosystem developed if you go for dedicated servers, and it's not so hard of hosting dedicated servers, and there are specialized operators like for players that help you doing that in a very cheap and efficient way. And it's not only for players, but there are other companies also doing that. So basically, just a couple of words on the services that we offer to bring you this these social high-tech game experiences. We offer a voice in-game voice software development kit with hosting, so that you can enable social games and worldwide real-time interaction very quickly. And it also features positional audio, and this is very deeply integrated into the game engine and not a layer above. Then you have our engagement toolkit that allows you to quickly add challenges and leaderboards and even battle passes to your game. And last but not least, we offer hosting services for your game servers worldwide. And it's basically always on a subscription-based pricing model, and it depends on how many users you have. There are free tiers if you just get started typically. And I think it's very important, and it's not just our services, but also whenever you are doing game development, you should always consider what do you need to develop yourself and what can you purchase from others, because typically the services out there, including our services, they are most of the time multi-platform. So you are not limiting yourself on one platform, but you typically have the chance to go to other platforms too. Then you typically have a very quick integration. So most toolkits are built so that you can quickly add them to Unity, Unreal. You have documentation, guides. Typically, you have some sort of a dashboard. And those companies are they are investing a lot of resources to make sure that all of those things have a great quality of service. So you can focus on what makes your game unique. We don't think it makes sense to over and over again build the basis that others have already done. You should concentrate on what makes your game unique. And most services are not very expensive. And if you think about how much money your own work costs, if you think about that, then it's typically a good buy to go for these kind of services, to look out for software as a services. And it's not just us for players, but also there are other companies also offering very great services that help you in your game development. Now from our side, we offer you, as said before, immersive voice. It's called Odin, and Odin allows you to quickly integrate in-game voice into Unity and Unreal very soon. And you can, and it offers 3D positional audio and all of those things that really bring you closer to the vision that I showed you before. A really very intensive in-game experience. Then we are offering challenges which allow you to build challenges, achievements, and all of and everything in between, daily challenges, weekly challenges, and you can do that without updating your game. Leaderboards, a very simple and very efficient way of bringing competition into your game. You can do that with our services without building your own scoring algorithms, sorting algorithms, and leaderboards quickly are not so easy to do. If you have a lot of users, then they're really a challenge. And by offering third-party services for these kind of things, obviously makes a lot of sense. And then last but not least, we offer battle passes, which is a service that allows you to create the battle pass in our dashboard. You can modify it anytime. and the user interface and everything. You get ready to be or production ready user interfaces that you can adjust to your liking, and then you even have full-fledged battle passes in your game if you like that, with rewards and all of those things. Then of course we are offering those the game server fleet for you. You can and your gamers can even rent servers from us for the community. There's this community component also included. And we also offer player profiles where you can store some data for your users. Everything is real time, so we have real time notifications in game and with webhooks that allows you as a game developer to very quickly build your own business logics on top of our services. For player skill is our engagement toolkit, and it's real time. Everything is happening in real time. It's very customizable. We offer it as a turnkey solution. So we bring you the Unity and Unreal SDK, and you just drag and drop in the user interface prefabs or widgets, as you named it in Unreal. And then you have something that already works, that looks great, and then you quickly can adjust the user interface, and you don't need to think about any details and state management and all of that. And you can even build the most complex challenges very easily, and you can also build leaderboards very easily without writing any code, actually. It's basically driven by events, so you don't have to keep anything or you don't have to concentrate on storing data, on building state management tools into your application. You just send basic events, and on this as a payload on these events, you add some metadata, like shown here, the health when you reach a checkpoint, the time that was required, and you can leverage all these information in our dashboard to build challenges out of those things. This is basically the dashboard. It's very easy to use, and it's not just easy to use for you as a game developer, but you can also give access to your community managers, and then they can also add challenges to their game very quickly, and they will also show up in your game in real time. And there is no game updates or any more things to do. It's just add a challenge in the admin panel, and that's basically it. We provide you extensive toolkits that allow you to very easily and quickly debug your application. We have extensive documentation making it easy. And whatever is documented by others companies like us, you don't need to document, because whenever you are using these services with a good documentation, you don't need to create your own documentation to keep up what did I do this and then, and how does all these things work together. Odin is our immersive audio solution. We provide you the hosting, or you can also host yourself. We have, of course, excellent audio quality with crystal clear, low latency voice. And we are very experienced in this regard. And we also understand what makes good voice. As the Odin software is developed by former TeamSpeak developers, and we are very experienced with these voice communication services, as we are hosting them worldwide for more than 20 years now. So that's basically all I wanted to show you in this regard in terms of a presentation. And just as a quick recap, I have provided a very simple example that allows you to understand what we are up to. And this is basically a mobile game, which is basically an adaptation of our arcade racing game. And if I start playing it, you can already see that we have the challenges here. So we have already created 2 challenges, and we also have added some stats for the user. And the stats for the user is very important, because it gives you always something that players can try to overachieve and beat their own goals, but they can also beat goals from their friends and competitors. And This is basically a very simple toolkit that allows me to set a name and an avatar image that is then shown up in the leaderboard. And if I start playing the game, it's very easy. It's one-handed mobile game experience. I have this car and I need to drive around and need to make sure that I always reach the next checkpoint within the time. It's a little bit hard to steer with this control. And I can also collect some coins. This is basically very simple. And it all comes down to making it improving the distance. Driving around to the farthest distance. I now manage the distance from 305 and 5 coins. And if the game is over, I can go back to the main menu. And what I see is that in real time, the challenges increased. And what happens basically is, this is the playground application. And what happens is that within the game, in my road manager instance, I basically just send a couple of events, the distance that I reached, the score or the number of coins I selected. And whenever a coin is selected, I send another event where I send a collect item event with how many coins I've collected. In this case, it's always 1. And the item type is basically, there are different coin types. There are silver, bronze, gold. And I send this as an additional information. And what you can see is that the game sends these events to the skill platform. The skill platform processes those events for the respective user. And then whenever something happens of interest after processing, a notification is sent back. And this notification, here you can see basically how it looks like. You get this payload, and this payload gives you all the detail, what happened actually in the skill platform. In this case, it's just a difference. And what you can see is that a couple of events are sent, or a couple of notifications are sent that the overall achievement of collecting 1,000 coins is increased. And also for every silver coin, another notification came in, moving this challenge up to 9 of 10. And that's basically it. And then we have leaderboards. We only have 2 users right now here in the game. And there are different leaderboards. And the different leaderboards is one leaderboard to collect or for the longest distance someone achieved. Then for the coins per race, how many coins per race have been collected, and how many coins have been collected forever. And you also get real-time notification in your game that bring you any changes in the leaderboard. So whenever something happens in the leaderboard, your game is notified in real time and the user interface is updated. And how I do this in this game, it's very easy. We have this stats window and we just have 2 game objects. They have the skill leaderboard manager. You provide the leaderboard ID that you have in the admin panel. So these are the leaderboard IDs. I just add the leaderboard ID here, and then whenever something happens in the leaderboard ranking for this specific user, a function is called, and this is just updating the distance rankings here. So this is also happening in real time. When another player, while I am playing, is now removing me from my first ladder position, I will be notified in real time here. And then I have another goal. I start the game and I notice, oh my God, I'm not number 1. I need to play again to come back to number 1. And I can click on the leaderboard to see who is in front of me, and I can work on that. And what I can also do is, without creating any code, I can just go into my admin panel and I create, and you can see that I have already 2 challenges, collect 10 silver coins. And I can now create, for example, a weekly challenge, which will be created which will be reset every week. And I can say collect 100 bronze coins, which is an easy challenge, but it's something that makes perhaps sense for your game. And then you go to the next thing here. You can also provide a reward. So whenever when those challenges are achieved, you can create a reward in your game, and then you will get a notification from the skill backend that this challenge is completed, and then you can provide this reward to the user. I don't want to have any rewards right now. I give it an event name, and this is basically the collect item event that I created here earlier. Let me check here, collect item event. That's it. I want to have exceed the goal. I have lost how many we have, 100 we set. So I set a goal of 100. You can set a time zone when this is reset. And important is that I provide the metadata. And in this case, I just provide bronze. I could also say collect bronze and silver. Then I would add a silver token here. But I just want to have this bronze token. That's basically it. I saved the challenge. And without writing any code, you will now see that this new challenge will come up here, collect 100 bronze coins. And when I now start driving around, not sure, perhaps we are lucky, and this is a bronze coin. So I have now collected my bronze coin. And you can also see here in the playground application that I now have already collected this one bronze coin. So it's also in real time within this application. I can go back to my menu, and I have one of these bronze coins, and I have achieved the challenge, collect 10 silver coins. So I have not written any line of code. Your community managers can add and delete and modify challenges to their liking. And when you wake up in the morning and think, oh my God, it's Valentine's Day, for example, you don't have a chance to do anything for Valentine's Day if you lost that date, if you have done it in code, but with tools that you can, with cloud-based solutions, it's very easy to do because you just go into your admin panel and create a challenge or whatever comes to your mind. And that's basically all there is to say in terms of how we think you can make your game more interactive, more engaging. And this also implies that you are able to do that. If it's hard to do, you will always have issues bringing your game or updating your game in time. And this is also a very crucial part, updating your game on a regular basis so that players can always find something new. And if it's not new content, it's new challenges, it's new leaderboard positions, and it's the tiny details. And we provide a lot of tools for this, and other companies also, to be honest, of course. And we have now prepared a couple of workshops and a lot of other talks during the days. And reach out to us if you have any questions, if we need to go a little bit more into detail for all the services that we provide. And let me know what you think, and I'm happy to see you in Q&A. So I stop my, So thank you very much, and hoping to see you soon during the day. Thank you very much for listening.
Stefan. Stefan auf die Stage.
Bin da. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Philip, for your insights.
Thank you.
If everyone wants to ask Philip a question, please join the Q&A room. You find it on the right side in the list. Philip will join there as well, and you can ask him a lot of questions, so Philip will be there for you. Thank you so much, and see you on the next talk.